Hi guys again, and today's topic is corporate diversification, which is chapter 9. And let's start our chapter. As you guys know, my name is Banjo Sunder. You are welcome to my channel, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and press the button like. Okay, so the learning objective for today is that defining corporate diversification and describe five types of corporate diversification and specify two conditions that corporate diversification strategy must meet to create economic value and define the concept of economies of scope and identify nine potential economies of scope a diversified firm might try to exploit and the B section identifying which of these economies of scope firms outside equity investors can realize on their own at low costs. So the next objectives are specifying the circumstances under which a firm's diversification strategy will be a source of sustained competitive advantage and explaining which of the economies of scope identified in this chapter are more likely to be subject to low cost imitation and which are less likely to be subject to low cost imitation and identifying two potential substitutes for corporate diversification. And you know the strategic management process, right? In the early chapter we also covered this one, and as you know, we have mission, objectives, external analysis, internal analysis that we have already covered about this, and strategic choices. If you are in the corporate level strategy, you have to do some strategic choices for corporate levels, and after that you have to know how to be which business to enter. And we also covered in the early chapter in vertical integration, and now we are going to talk about the diversification, right? You guys know about the diversification, and I will explain diversification with detail in the next slides. So, a logic of corporate level strategy. As we know, the corporate level strategy should create value such that businesses forming the corporate whole are worth more than they will be under independent ownership, and that equity holders cannot create through portfolio investing. And therefore, corporate level strategy must create synergies, economies of scope, diversifications. So integration and diversification. So integration, for example, you can see that we know the integration backward and forward, right? So raw material suppliers, focal firm, distribution, and customer. As I asked you in the previous lecture, focal firm is a central firm, and I'm going to give the answer for now. And diversification, what is that diversification? Diversification, unrelated diversifications, which is no links to the products or services, and I mean that's other businesses, and related diversification, that's many links, but the other business might be other business, but have many links, I mean the related one. So types of corporate diversification. At a general level, product diversification, operating in multiple industries, a geographic market diversification, operating in multiple geographic markets, and product market diversification, operating in multiple industries in multiple geographic markets. So at a more specific level, limited diversification, single businesses, 95% of sales in single businesses, and dominant businesses, 70 to 95 in single business. Related diversification, related constraint, all businesses related on most dimensions, and related linked, some businesses related on some dimensions. Unrelated diversification, business are not related at all. So product and geographic diversification. Possibilities. Single businesses in one geographic area and single business in multiple geographic areas, related constraint in one or multiple geographic areas, related linked in one or multiple geographic areas, and related in one or multiple geographic areas. That's the possibilities for product and geographic diversification. And note that relatedness usually refers to products. Similarly, unrelated products may be related on other dimensions too. Competitive advantage. If diversification strategy meets the Vireo criteria, which stands for valuable, rare, imitate, and organized, it may create competitive advantage. So, there are two criteria. The first one, there must be some economies of scope, and the focal firm must have cost advantage of outside equity holders in exploiting any economies of scope. So, In here, you guys can see the business X and business Y plus business Z that goes to value, and independent acute holder could buy shares of each firm. Economics of scope, focal form, business X, Y, Z goes creates value. Combined acute holders buys shares in one firm. You guys understanding, right? Okay. So four types, economics of scope, four types: operational, financial, anti-competitive, and managerialism. Operational economics of scope, sharing activities, exploiting efficiency of sharing business activities. Example, Frito-Lay's trucking, spreading core competences, exploiting core competences in other businesses. Competency must be strategically relevant. For example, Orbit. We can get Orbit as an example for operational economics of scope. So, financial economics of scope, internal capital market, premise, that's a buildings, for example. Insiders can allocate capital across divisions more efficiently than the external capital market. Works only if managers have better information, may protect properly information, may suffer from escalating commitment. Example, Hanson Trust, PLC. Risk reduction. Counter-cyclical businesses may provide decreased overall risk. However, individual investors can usually do this more efficiently than firms. As an example, I have been giving snow skis and water skis. Tax advantages. Transfer pricing policy allow for profits in one division to be offset by losses in another division. This is especially true internationally, can be used to smooth income. An example, that's Ireland. Anti-competitive economies of scope. Multi-point competition, mutual forbearance. A firm chooses not to compete aggressively in one market to avoid competition in another market. Example, American Airlines and Delta, Dallas and Atlanta. Market power, using profits from one business to compete in another business. Using buying power in one business to obtain advantage in another business. Managerialism, an economy of scope that accrues to managers at the expense of acute holders. Managers of larger firms receive more compensation. Larger scope equals more compensation. Therefore, managers have an incentive to acquire other firms and become ever larger. Even though the incentive is there, it's difficult to know if the managerialism is the reason for an acquisition. And acute holders and economies of scope. Most economies of scope cannot be captured by acute holders because risk reduction can be captured by acute holders too. Managers should consider whether corporate diversification will generate economies of scope that acute holders can capture. If a corporate diversification move is unlikely to generate a valuable economies of scope, managers should avoid it. And here, rareness of diversification. Diversification per se is not rare. Underlying economies of scope may be rare in case relationships that allow an economies of scope to be exploited by may be rare. An economy of scope may be rare because it's naturally or economically limited. A soft drink bottler buyers A soft drink bottler buys the only source of spring water available. A hotel in a resort town creates a large water park. There are only enough customers to support one park. And duplication of economies of scale, scope in case of immutability. So less costly to duplicate what are they, and costly to duplicate what are they. The less costly ones are employer compensation, tax advantage, risk reduction, shared activities, codified and tangible, and costliest core competences, internal capital allocation, multi-point competition, exploiting market power, tacit and intangible. May be costly depending on relationships. Immutability of diversification, substitution of economies of scope, internal development, start a new business under corporate whole, avoids potential cross-firm integration issues, and strategic alliances, find a partner with the desired complementary assets, less costly than acquiring firm. Competitors may use these strategies to arrive at a position of diversification without buying another firm. As a summary, corporate strategy. In what businesses should the firm operate? An understanding of diversification helps managers answer that question. There are two criteria also. Economies of scope must exist, must create value that outside equity holders cannot create on their own. And economies of scale, a case of synergy, combined activities generate greater value than independent activities, may generate competitive advantage if they meet the various criteria. Firms should pursue diversification only if careful analysis show that competitive advantage is likely. So guys, thank you very much for your attention and time. And if you guys have any questions and or recommendations or suggestions, you are welcome in the comments below. So I really appreciate your time and attention. See you guys. Take care.